the research going on in our group, and I'm going to talk about heterobicyclic heptanes, which are obtained by multi-component cascade reaction. And I work in Professor Dennis Longer's group in Tallinn University of Technology. So shortly about what is a multi-component reaction. It's a chemical reaction where 3 or more compounds react to form a single product. And they have been known for over 150 years, and they were first introduced by Strecker in 1850, who used this method to synthesize amino acids. Someone closer to our home is in 1959, Professor Ivar Ugi recorded a multi-component reaction involving a So he introduced a multi-component reaction involving a ketone or an aldehyde, an amine, an isocyanate, and a carboxylic acid to form this amides. And the research in this field currently and in the past has been mostly focused on isonitriles, giving us peptide-like structures. And in recent years, it has witnessed a little bit of an explosion in different reactions that lead to heterocycles. And heterocycles are important because they are part of many bioactive compounds. And some of the multi-component reactions known today are free radical mediated multi-component reactions, organophora compounds related multi-component reactions, and metal catalysts. And now something that is closer to home is organocatalytic multi-component reactions. And we've been working on organocatalysis for several years, and as part of our research, we tried to synthesize 5-membered rings with one heteroatom. And to our greatest surprise, when we tried to use alpha-beta unsaturated aldehyde, secondary amine, and alpha-beta unsaturated ester, we didn't get a 5-membered ring, but instead we got this kind of bicyclic compound. And it has many stereocenters, so there's a possibility of several diastereomers, but mostly only 2 form in most cases. And it's quite stereoselective. And the major diastereomers that form are in the second position. It's either 2-exo or 2-endo. This R group either is coming out towards you or going back into the wall. Now let me introduce a little bit of the mechanism. So first, the alpha-beta unsaturated aldehyde reacts with the secondary amine, giving us an kind of activated aldehyde in medium, and that reacts with our ester, giving us an intermediate B, which undergoes a cascade reaction, first giving us a 5-membered ring, and then closing out from the top, giving us the 4-membered ring. But still there's competition between the reactions by giving us either a 4-membered ring or a 5-membered ring. And how we get a 5-membered ring from here is it adds a molecule of water, and the amine hydrolyzes, giving us an aldehyde. How to suppress this monocycle formation is we just need to remove the water from the reaction medium, and we do that with molecular sieves. This reaction there's 3 reactions going on, 3 competitive reactions. It's diastereoselectivity that we need to tweak, and we need to suppress the monocycle formation. And fortunately, it's highly dependent on the solvent. And also we can suppress the monocycle formation by using 2 equivalents of the aldehyde and the amine in ratio with the ester. We screened several solvents, and we found in most cases, the chlorinated solvents were the best. Chloroform gave us the best reaction time. Instead of 48 hours, the reaction was complete in 24 hours. But unfortunately, the ratio between the monocycle and the bicycle wasn't very good. It gave 15% of this monocyclic product. And the diester selectivity was 3:1, which is not the best. And if we use dichloromethane, we get only 4% of the monocyclic product, and we get a diester selectivity between A and B, 5:1. This ester is not stable upon storage. We can isolate it and we can analyze it, but if we store it, it decomposes to monocycle or the diastereomer ratio changes. To overcome that, we decided to reduce the ester with lithium aluminum hydride to an alcohol, so the reaction cannot reverse. And this also made the analysis of the product easier in HPLC. It's all good that we get a reaction in diester selectivity, but there's also a mixture of two compounds, enantiomers here, so we would like to also induce enantiomer selectivity in our reaction. So we decided to embark on hydrogen bonding catalysis, and we used different diureas, which give hydrogen bonding from here, and some Quintana alkaloids, which are chiral bases. But unfortunately, none of them gave us any enantiomer selectivity, and we got a racemic mixture of the major diastereomer. So to make sure that this reaction is not just with these amines and these aldehydes, we decided to vary the amine part. So with diethylamine, it gives 70% yield of the major diastereomer in 5:1 ratio towards the other enantiomer 2-endo. Then we decided to get bigger with the amine, used pyridine and pyrrolidine, and we got 43% yield of the major diastereomer, and in 3:1 ratio to this 2-endo. 2-exo being the major diastereomer. We get even bigger with the amine using the pyridine. We get only 20% yield of the 2-exo diastereomer in ratio to 2-endo. But in here, we get the major diastereomer is another, actually, because this top part has switched. The second part is still exo, and we get to 4:1 ratio and in 43% yield. And it's here, the bigger the amine gets, it's steric. The change in top at the top is because of the sterics of the amine. There's also one more thing you can change. You can change the aldehyde. And here we use, instead of cinnamol aldehyde, we use the paramethoxy cinnamol aldehyde. The reaction yield is low, but the diester selectivity is 4:1, which is pretty good. Then when we use para-bromo cinnamol aldehyde, we get 55% yield and 5:1 ratio. And here, in case of nitro, we get the best diester selectivity, 8:1, but unfortunately we're not able to isolate this ester, this alcohol, because we can't reduce the ester without the nitro group reducing, and then the whole thing decomposes. We're still working on it, but it's not. It doesn't give a lot of hope to get this. The other thing you can change is you can change the hydroxycrotonate part. Instead of hydroxycrotonate, you can use benzyl aminocrotonate. And here the diester selectivity is very good. It's 45:1, which means you can't even isolate the other enantiomer because you can't find it because it's in so low amounts. In case of total amide, unfortunately the yield and the diaster selectivity go low, 1-to-1, and the major, it goes also, it's not selective anymore. You get a mixture of mono and bicycle 1-to-1. Here's also a comparison. The trend continues. So when with the oxocycle, we got 5-to-1. Here we get 3-to-1 with amine. And also in case of the benzyl amide, the diaster selectivity goes down with the size of the amine, and the yield also. And tosyl amine, it doesn't give with doesn't give the major diastereomer that we get in all the other cases. We get a different diastereomer as a major diastereomer, 8-to-1 mixture. The difference is here in the top, they all like to be in the same side. Also, to confirm our structure, we use NOE effect, which in this case the hydrogens interact with each other in space, and you can see that this proton that's facing back there and facing back there see each other in space, and that confirms us that indeed these centers are the way they are, the way we think that they are. But to be 100% sure, you have to have an X-ray structure. And in this case, this alcohol, unfortunately, is an oil, and we need to derivatize it to get a carbonate, which is a solid crystalline compound. And here you can see the crystal structure of the racemic mixture, not the enantiomer, racemic mixture, racemate of that oxobicycle. Here you can see the 5-membered ring. Here you can see the phenol part, the amine part, and the carbonate part. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to get an enantiomeric crystal structure yet. So it's all fine and dandy to make a new reaction and discover a nice complicated compound, but why? What good can come of it? And it's known that these bicyclic compounds can act as pharmacophores in modulating the dopamine receptor. And in this case, dopamine 3 was very interesting to us. And it's related to dopamine receptor influences our emotions, and it's been related to schizophrenia, depression, and Parkinson's disease. For that, we needed to separate our enantiomers, and because we couldn't induce it with our diurea catalysis, we used an enzyme to separate the enantiomers. And it was quite successful. In the first separation with the enzyme, you get 90% EE with a selectivity of 52.7. So if you run it for the second time with the enzyme, you get practically 98% or higher, depending on the compound. And we tested our compounds in collaboration with Professor Algorinken's group in TARTU University, and they found that the binding affinity was best in dopamine D2 and D3 receptor with this kind of azabicyclic compound with the pyrrolidine ring. And for the dopamine 1 receptor, the binding affinity was best for this diethylamine compound with a baroperomo at the phenol part. And also important is the selectivity over these 3 dopamine receptors. In ideal, you would want to hit only one, and the other ones wouldn't be affected. So this compound selectivity over D2 over D1 was 90. Unfortunately, the binding affinities aren't the highest. It would be excellent if they would be nanomolar, but they are not. So we still have a lot of work to do on this area. And we hope our cooperation continues with them. And in summary, I would like to say that we have found efficient one-step multi-component reaction to get tetrasubstituted bicyclic compounds. Enantiomers, we separated the enantiomers of these by enzyme. We tested them with Professor Alorinke, and we now continue toward the synthesis of an asymmetric version of these bicyclic compounds. So, thank you.
Questions, please. Yeah.
So are there any similar compounds in use as dopamine modulators right now? Or where did this inspiration come from in the first place?
There are few patents available that use these kind of isobicyclic compounds, but they get to them through radical reactions. And they are known to... We didn't go blindly in this area. We knew who we wanted to cooperate with these compounds.
What about the experimental? How did you estimate these compounds and especially the intermediates? You have a scope of reaction and a lot of intermediates. Do you investigate or try to estimate also these intermediates?